I've added me to the start screen, just so I can get a sense of if things are working. We'll be starting in like a couple seconds. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about security, and it's called part 2 because a couple of years ago I did part 1. So here in this lesson, I will help you learn some new English words and phrases that you can use to talk about security. Security happens in a lot of different forms. There's like serious security at the airport. There's usually a security guard at the mall. Security is something we all take very seriously so that we can be safe when we are out in public. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about security. Part 2. Well, hello everybody and welcome. I hope you are here and ready to enjoy this live stream. Hope you are ready to enjoy hanging out with all of your other English learning friends. I'm just testing the audio. Looks like everything is working properly. I'm not in a hurry this morning, but the lesson is a bit shorter. I think it's only 25 words instead of my normal 30 words and terms. So maybe I'll try to go a bit slower, although that can sometimes be hard for me. Hafia says security part 1 was May 22, 2022 to be exact. So yes, quite a while ago. I was going to update that lesson, but I realized there were enough new terms and phrases that I could find that I hadn't taught that I could do a part 2. So this is part 2. I feel like I'm not in the middle of the screen. There we go. Hi, Key Park, Unsel, Hafiz, Freddie Wolf, Know That, Ismail, Mode Eggs, Freddie Wolf. I'm saying names twice. Wanda Prado, Judith. A lot of the regulars are here. Let me scroll back. Cat Diary is here. Talik is here. Let me go back a little further. Mode Eggs, Know That, Hafiz, Cat Diary. Yes, all of the regular names, all of the regular people, all of the awesome people. Hi, Ismail. Good to see you as well. Victor, Sevtap. If you're watching this at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's live. I'm right here. I'm an actual human being here to teach you English. Hi to John Wedge and Peter Fleming as well. Good to see all of you. A few things, again, before we start. Wow, I'm using my hands a lot today. A few things before we start. If you have a question, there is a link in the description below that you can use to ask that question. If you are a member during members only chat in about 25 minutes, you can ask a question directly in the chat. But for everyone else during the lesson, please use the form. There's a link pinned in the chat. There's a link in the description below. It just helps me gather all the questions into one place, and then I can hopefully answer them intelligently for you. Good morning to MK Gamer. Good to see you there in the chat as well. I think that's everything I normally say. This lesson will come out in a smaller, shorter version in a couple days. Great to re-listen to so that you can reinforce what you learn here today. But let's get started. Let's talk about security. Let me get my glasses out of the way. Let me loosen up and get ready to click the keys on my keyboard to advance from one slide to the next. Hafia says, I think I'm seeing a new chair. I think that's just temporary there. Let's have a look. There are some temporary chairs here. This is actually my son's chair, and this is a lawn chair. And over here we have another lawn chair, but that's actually, we've owned that for quite a few years. But okay, I'm off track. Let me get back on track. Security. So this lesson is about security, and we use the word security in a lot of ways. If you go to hear someone speak or give a speech, there might be a lot of security. So we just use the term to refer to the people who are there to keep everyone safe. When you're at the shopping mall, you can go to security to ask a question. In that sense, we're talking about a place. There's usually a desk at a mall where there is a security officer or a security guard. So we use this word in a couple of different ways. Like, I guess it's the general term that we use to refer to the people who keep us safe, not police officers. This is more like security guards and those types of people. But the people who keep us safe when we are at different locations in the world. or it's referred to as a place. If you're at a concert and you lose your keys, you might go and check at security to see if someone has found them. So security, kind of a general term to refer to the people who keep us safe, or the place, the desk where they work from. A badge. So in order for us to trust people, they need to have identification, or they need to have things that make us understand that they are who they say they are. One of those things is a badge. In North America, and I think in every police department in the world, the police officer will have a badge, and the badge will have might have their name on it, but I think it just has their badge number usually. A security guard may also have a badge. So a badge is a small metal, we might call it something like I'm just going to call it a badge. It will pin onto your shirt or jacket, and it's hard to duplicate. So it's usually real. If it's like a solid metal badge and has the name of the police department on it, you will know that it's a real police officer. So a badge, basically a metal badge that allows you to trust that the person who has the badge is actually a security guard or police officer. Yes, a badge. An ID card. So an ID card is something that you wear when you are in a building so that people know who you are. It might also be something you simply carry in your pocket or in your wallet or in your purse that you might have to show to someone if they ask for it. If you work for a large company, like if you worked for Google or Microsoft, you would probably have to wear your ID card on a lanyard around your neck and have it with you all the time. Because once a place of business gets too big, not everyone knows each other. And so you need an ID card, an official ID card, so people know that you work there. I have an ID card at school. At my school, we don't have to wear our ID cards, but if our school was a bit bigger, at some point we would need to. Like right now, we all know who works there and who is a stranger, so we don't have to wear one. But when I worked in a larger school, when I was learning to be a teacher, I had to wear my ID card at that school. Metal detector. So depending on where you go, you might have to go through a metal detector. So we usually use that verb, you go through a metal detector. So this man is going through a metal detector. It might be at the airport. When Jen and I go to watch a baseball game, when we go to see the Toronto Blue Jays, we have to go through a metal detector when we enter the stadium. So a metal detector, of course, detects metal, and it is used at a security checkpoint to make sure you're not bringing in anything dangerous or anything that you could use for bad purposes. So metal detector, something that detects metal. You have to walk through or go through the metal detector, and commonly found at airports or any kind of event where there's going to be thousands of people, there will usually be a metal detector that you need to go through. Key card. So your ID card might be your key card, but a key card is a card used to unlock a door. So instead of using an old-fashioned key to unlock a hotel room door, they will now give you a key card. And when you put the key card against the door, or when you insert the key card into a slot, the lock will buzz and a green light will come on and you can turn the handle and enter. Again, at a hotel, you'll get a key card like that one. It's what we would call a generic key card. It is programmed to open just your room. But at work, you might have an ID card that also works as a key card, where you can use that card to open doors as well. It really depends on where you work and what it does. My school ID is not a key card, but key card, a card that you can use to unlock a door. Fingerprint scanner. So I'm going to go over a few different scanners here. The fingerprint scanner, of course, scans your finger. I don't have my phone with me, but your phone has a fingerprint scanner. It might be on the back. It might be on the front. You just press right on the glass, and whatever device you are putting your finger on will scan your fingerprint, and it will have a database where it knows what your fingerprint looks like, and then it will allow you to enter. So similar to how a key card unlocks a door, a fingerprint scanner might unlock a door, or it might unlock your phone. I think you have to work at a fairly high security facility, like maybe you're doing advanced scientific research before you would get a fingerprint scanner. If you just work in a store, they're not going to have a fingerprint scanner for employees, but scans your fingerprint and unlocks the door. And then of course, retina scanner scans your eye. It scans the retina in your eye. So just as all of our fingerprints are unique to us, no one has the same fingerprint as I do. No one has the same retina pattern as I do. So you can use that for ID as well. Again, this would be used at some like government scientific research facility, or more likely you'll see these in movies when Tom Cruise has to get into some sort of building or something like that. There might be a retina scanner. And then lastly, facial recognition. We're all familiar with this because we might use that on our phone. Our phone can see our face, and then the phone unlocks because it recognizes who we are. So facial recognition, similar to retina scans and fingerprint scans and key cards, it's another way to unlock a door in order to get into a different area of a building or to get into the building. Hey, let's do some questions. It's already been 10 minutes. Maybe I talked a little bit at the beginning. Where are my questions? Let me find them here. Okay. Let me have a sip of water. Let me try to slow down a bit. No, that says, hello, Bob. Personal question. Have you and your students ever been stopped by someone official during one of your excursions and asked to show ID? Thank you, Bob. So we have gone to, let me just fix something here for a sec. I think I adjusted my camera. Now I'm not quite in the middle. There we go. We take our students to places like museums. We take our students to a baseball game every year in Toronto. And generally, we need to have one teacher with every 15 students at all times. And so the students don't normally get stopped, but occasionally I have been asked by a security guard or someone at a venue or like a museum, can you show me your tickets? And so I will, on my phone, usually have the tickets. All tickets for everything are on phones now. Similar if you're on public transit, if you're on what we call the GO train, then you might have to show your ticket. And I have had that happen with students, but usually security guards, when they see, Brent would be, oh, hey, Brent's here. Brent says, hey, Bob is live broadcasting in my classroom right now. How is everyone? I'm good, Brent. I hope you're doing well as well. Happy to be in your classroom on this Friday morning. So good to see you, Brent. Brent would have had this experience too. Generally, when you're on a class trip with students, it's pretty easy for security guards or people who work at different places to see that there's a teacher and 10 or 15 teenagers or children or whatever, whoever you're with on the trip. And so they usually come to you. I think if you know, Brent and I have a certain look. We kind of look like teachers. And so if Brent was at a museum with his students, they would know to go and ask him, hey, are these your students? You know, and then maybe ask a few questions. So show ID, not normally, maybe school ID, but usually they want to see your tickets. Like if I was on the train with students, they'd want to see the tickets on my phone or the bus or something like that. Judith, hi, Bob. What kind of security is the most important to you, including or not including yourself? Thanks. So we live out in the country. It's fairly remote. The most important kind of security for us is our dogs. When you live out in the country, you live far from town, which means you do live far from police services. So we need to protect ourselves. Now, Canada is fairly law abiding, but we do have criminals who do try to steal things. So for me, our first line of defense is that we always have 2 dogs. Oscar in particular is quite good at barking and preventing strangers from coming onto the property. Hafia says Apple is not the pioneer of facial recognition, but they did make it popular. That's true. Brett, yeah, I was hoping to look like a movie star, but I do think I have that teacher look. Part of it is what we wear, and I should do a lesson about demeanor and how you carry yourself. So I would assume when Brent and I are out in public as teachers, we have a bit of an air of authority. So I'm using a lot of unique terms there, but you've probably noticed it too. If you see a teacher out on a field trip, you can probably guess that they're a teacher. Judith from Hungary. Hi, Bob. What kind of security is the most practical for a business? Thank you. An alarm system and cameras. So those would be the 2 things that in this day and age, most businesses would have, obviously locks on the doors, but cameras, security cameras, and an alarm system. So you set the alarm when you go home. The next morning when you get to if you owned a store, you punch in your code to turn off the alarm. But those would be the 2. Let's see here. A lot of people saying hello in the chat. Mode says, interesting. The way you added the little R sound in the retina scanner in your eye is quite common in some British accents. It's called the intrusive R, the retina scanner, the retina. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's like a lilt. It's not a liaison. It's you kind of between the words. I watch too much British television. That's the problem. Right now, season 3 of Blue Lights came out. I'm really enjoying it. Unsol says, hi, Mr. Bob. Is it really possible to have true privacy in today's digital world? What personal boundaries do you set to protect it? Thanks a lot. So I've talked to my students about this before. I don't think people realize how much computers keep logs of everything. So if you set the alarm at work, there's a little entry on the computer somewhere saying, Bob set the alarm at work at 6:00 at night. I think when you browse the internet, some people think they're anonymous, but computers kind of track a lot of things. What personal boundaries do you set to protect it? Thanks a lot. I think one of my personal boundaries is coming up later, and that's making sure you have 2-factor authentication on everything. And I'll talk a bit more about that when we get to that term. Unsol, hi again. Have you ever had a funny or unusual security experience? Thanks. Yes. I set the security alarm off at our school because one year, this is about 10 years ago, they changed all the codes and I was the last one to leave. And no, that wasn't what it was. I must have gotten there early in the morning. How did I set it off? Anyways, I set it off. And then I had to call the security company and I couldn't figure out what the phone number was because we had changed security companies. And then eventually the police came and then I had to explain everything to them. They had to call my boss to make sure that I actually worked there. And why can't I remember how I set it off? I must have done something. It's possible that, was I left in the building and someone else said it? I don't know. Anyways, it was an interesting conversation with the authorities. So let's see. Let's get to another question. From Edgar Heiss, teacher, how does security work in school? For example, there are some police officers around at the entrance of the school. So in Canada, and I'm not sure if this is the same in the US, we do not have police officers at our schools every day, but every school has a liaison officer. So there is a police officer who is connected to our school, and we kind of have a direct line to that police officer. I don't want to go into too many details because schools need to be extremely secure, and talking about how we secure them is probably too much information. But I would just say this, schools in Canada and in the US are much more secure now than they were 10 or 20 years ago, using every method of keeping them secure that you can think of. I know that's really vague, but I would just say, yes, we take security very seriously, and we do what we have to do. Brent would be in the same boat as me. Schools are they have a lot of technology and a lot of personnel connected to keeping them secure, both inside and outside the school. It's like the vaguest answer I could give, but sorry. Part of security is keeping secrets. Judith says, hi, Bob. Would you choose a fake camera for security purposes, just for show, or a real one? Live stream tomorrow. I would always choose a real one. I don't think fake cameras are that effective. I think if I wanted to monitor a certain area, I would most likely use a real camera. And then live stream tomorrow. Yes, it is the first Saturday of the month. There will be a live lesson tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am looking forward to it. From Unsel, and the last question, as a content creator, what's one security habit you never skip? Thanks a lot. You're awesome. Bye. I don't want to talk too much about what I do personally to keep myself secure, because you are kind of giving away some of the things you do. But I would say this, that if I'm going to be in a public place, I don't talk about it in advance or give exact times and dates. I don't want people to know when I'm away, and I don't want people to necessarily know where I am. That's just good for everyone, not just YouTubers. Like if you have a Facebook page, you shouldn't announce that you're going to go on vacation for 2 weeks, because then thieves know that you're gone for 2 weeks. Brent says, my high school has a dedicated police officer. The position is called an SRO, School Resource Officer. We also have our over 150 security cameras. So very similar to what we have, Brent. And again, in North America, and I think other parts of the world, schools, for obvious reasons, have taken security much more seriously than maybe we did 20 or 30 years ago. Okay, let me get a sip of water here and we will get back to the lesson. Mode, I'm really not with it today. I heard the vaguest answer as the Vegas answer and was like, what does LA have to do with less? I think you mean Las Vegas. What is yeah, so the Vegas answer is to lose all your money gambling. That's the Vegas answer. And I do not recommend that as a strategy for security. X-ray machine. So this is something mostly you'll see at an airport. If you have a carry-on bag, it needs to go through an X-ray machine. They need to see what's inside your bag so that they can ensure that the flight is safe and that people are safe as well when they are on the flight. So an X-ray machine, of course, uses X-rays to see inside of a bag like this one. So many of you have probably put your bag on a little, what do you call it? Conveyor belt, and it goes into a little machine, and that machine will take X-rays of whatever you send in, and then the security officers can see what's in your bag. A turnstile. So this is something, yeah, they're becoming more common when they want to control how fast people can move through an area. The most common place to see them for me would be in the subway in Toronto. You have to tap your card or your phone in order for the turnstile to allow you through. Now the turnstile has like 3 bars and they rotate as you go through. In some places, one of the malls close to me, when you enter, there's a turnstile, but you don't have to pay. I think they're simply using it to count how many people come into the mall. But yeah, this is a turnstile. It is basically a device to control how fast people can move from one area to another. It might also just be used to count people, or it can be used to charge people money to get into an area, a turnstile. A barrier. So there are many kinds of barriers. There's actually 2 in this picture. So you can see that they have portable fencing. So this is a metal barrier that you can just move with 2 people, and you can quickly set up fencing so people can't get in. There's also some caution tape, which is obviously not as good of a barrier, but it's also something used to prevent people from moving from one place to another. So when you are in one area and they set up a fence, that is a barrier, and that means they don't want you to go into the other area. And the tape would be the same, but let me put it this way. The portable fencing is more effective than the caution tape. That's what I will say. People can duck under caution tape. People can just break the caution tape. So it's not the best way to control people, but it is a visual barrier. A bouncer. I don't know why this one makes me laugh, but I'm not sure if you know what a bouncer is, but a bouncer is a person who usually works at a club or a bar, or I was going to say discotheque. We don't really use the word discotheque anymore. But if you go out to the club dancing with your friends, they will probably have a bouncer at the door that controls how many people can come in, and also will kick people out if they misbehave. So if you go to a bar and you start to misbehave, start to do things that just aren't appropriate for that place, maybe you've had too much alcohol, maybe you get into a fight, a guy like this will come and will throw you out. You'll get thrown out of whatever place you are in. Bouncers usually wear tight black t-shirts and usually have quite a few muscles. They're rather intimidating, and the fact that there is a bouncer will actually cause people to behave. So if there's no bouncer, people will just be a little, they'll misbehave more. But if there is a bouncer, it will also prevent people from misbehaving. Surveillance. So surveillance is the general term we use to talk about when people are being observed using cameras or from afar. Basically, when someone is watching what you're doing, but you're not aware of them. So if you watch a TV show, the cops might have a surveillance van and they might sit across the road from a criminal's apartment building and with their own eyes just watch. They might be sitting in a police car. Sorry, if they're in a surveillance van, they might have screens and TVs behind them that they use to watch what people are doing inside of a building or around a building. So let me use this phrase. Sorry, my nose is itchy this morning. I don't know why. Let me use this a couple of ways. The police use surveillance to figure out what the criminals were doing. So that would be a sentence. He was under surveillance. So that's how we would describe someone who is being watched. And then we also have what's called a surveillance society. So if your country has a lot of cameras, you might start to feel like there's too much surveillance. There's too many cameras watching what you do. Bag check, bag check, bag check. So there's two here. Let me explain why. Do they both fit? Yes. So bag check is the place at the airport where now you usually check your bag so it can go on the airplane. So in Toronto, when you go on a flight, you go up to a machine and it scans your ticket on your phone or on your, if you have a paper one, and then it gives you a sticker to put on your bag, and you put your bag onto a conveyor belt and it goes through a little scanner to the plane. We call this the bag check, okay? But you also go through a line and they x-ray your bag, and then there's also a bag check where a person might look in your bag. So let me explain again. When you put your suitcases onto this conveyor belt, it goes onto the airplane. That's your bag check. I need to check my bags. I need to get the sticker. I need to put the sticker on the handle. You can kind of see it on the handle of her bag. And then it goes off to the plane and it probably gets scanned. Then you go through security and you might also experience a bag check, which is a little more intrusive, where someone actually opens your bag and looks inside of it and says, you can't take this on the plane, and then they confiscate it or discard it. So bag check is when you check your bags, and bag check is also when someone else checks your bag to see what is in it. A wand. So I mentioned earlier metal detector. They might also just wand you. So we do use this as a verb. When you go through a security checkpoint, they might use a wand to scan your body for any type of metal. I'm assuming the wand is also a metal detector. And so they're looking for, if you're carrying something that would be considered unsafe to have on a plane. So that is a wand. Hey, if you visit a place like a school and you are allowed to be there, you will most likely be given a visitor pass. A visitor pass is a type of ID card that allows you to be in a building for half a day or a day because you have permission to visit there. If Brent came to Canada during the school year, and if he came to my school, he would be given a visitor pass. I would vouch for Brent. Basically, I would say this person can be trusted. He is a teacher from Maine. I know him. And then the front office would give him a visitor pass for the day. And then he would be allowed to be in my building as long as he is with me. So basically I would need to escort him around the building. Maybe that's the wrong word. And the same would be true if I visited Brent. If I went to his school, both of us would probably have to let the school know in advance that we had a visitor coming. And we would have to go through proper procedure to get a visitor pass. It's not very easy to get a visitor pass to visit a school. Like stranger danger is the term. You don't want to just let anyone into a school. But if you were allowed to visit, you would get a visitor pass. Hey, let's do members only chat. I do want to scroll back here because Brent sent a gift membership to a name I can't pronounce. Thank you, Brent, for doing that. And then Know That sent 5 gift memberships. Very cool. So Auguzin, Viet, Tien, BD, and Benny all got a gift membership from Know That. Thank you, Brent. And thank you, Know That, for doing that. I am going to do the same right now if I can find the right screen. I like to do 1 gift membership every week. Membership gifting. So in a moment, someone will get a gift membership. There we go. And while that's happening, let me turn on members only chat. We're going to do that for about 10 minutes if I can remember where the button is. Here we go. Members, save. Okay, so I have also gifted a membership, and unfortunately I cannot read the name, but congratulations. So we have 7 new members. If you go to the community tab or the post section of my YouTube channel, you will see all of the member posts now, and you will get an idea of what you get with membership. By the way, there are a lot of things. You get a lesson plan on Monday. You get a free video, extra video on Wednesdays. Sorry, you get an extra video on Wednesdays. You can participate in members only chat. You get access to my app, which hasn't been updated recently, but it is still fun. And you also get other things. I can't remember them all, but you get a bunch of things, and it makes learning English better, I hope. I'm a very bad salesperson for my own stuff. Thanks, Freddie, for sending a gift membership as well. That is very awesome. So thank you to Brent and Know That and Freddie Wolf for their generosity. And then an extra big thank you to Know That for being super, super generous. We're going to do members only chat for about 8 or 9 minutes, and then we'll get back to the lesson. So if you are one of the 184 people watching, don't forget to click that subscribe button, and you'll get notified when new lessons come out. Okay, let me go back in time here. Fabian says, hi, Teacher Bob. Greetings from Columbia. Is there a police station in the city where your workplace is located? There is a police station in almost every town. Like, we have a fairly good police presence, I would say. Like, what the police do out in the country is there's posts. So if there's no crime happening or no car accidents, there's usually a police officer within 3 to 5 minutes of every residence in my part of Canada. Like, if I called the cops, they're here, they would be here fast, very, very fast. So yeah, really, really small towns might not, but they might have a police officer that is in that town a few days a week or just drives through every day. From Know That, hey Bob, how has your week been so far? You already mentioned that you made good progress with the things on your to-do list, but are you done with everything, or is there still something left to do? I got pretty far, and I'm pretty happy. And it's fun because I have plenty of time to do a live lesson tomorrow. So I am looking forward to that. So 10 a.m. tomorrow. Let me see here. Well, I think there are over 200 bonus Wednesdays with Bob videos, maybe more. Yeah, I'm getting a little overwhelmed. Like, this is my 270th Friday lesson or something. Like, at some point, someone just tell me to stop. Like, I don't know. It's been almost 9 years of doing lessons on YouTube, but obviously I'm still having fun. So Let's see. Lots of congrats and thank yous. And John Wedge says, wow, today will be the day to send gift memberships. It looks like it. Know that. What are you up to today, Bob? Anything special planned, or is it just a regular Friday? Thanks, Bob. I still, as a dad, have to drive people around. So I do still have children without their licenses. So I'm doing a lot of I'm in the dad taxi this evening for a few things. Mode says, hi, Mr. Bob. Just one question. I hope I don't mess it up. My brain is running on 50%. When you were explaining bag check, you said bag a couple of times while referring to a suitcase. Is that okay? Yeah. So it's kind of funny. You bring your suitcases to the airport, you bring your luggages to the airport, and then you go to the bag check to check your bags. So bags is often used as a general term. You can say check your luggage, check your suitcase, but often you'll just say, oh, I hardly had time to check my bags before the flight. And it's just, I guess it's a quicker word to say than suitcase or baggage. Freddie Wolf, Bob, I guess that in each Canadian school, there will be many security exercises with all the students every once in a while in case of a huge critical crisis. Yes, there's a variety of them. The one I'll tell you about is we have regular fire drills. I think we do 4 or 5 a year. In Canada, when a school does a fire drill, you have to pass. So you do some for practice, but then the fire department will come and they will have a fire drill with the fire department there, and the fire chief will pass or fail you. And if you fail, you have to practice more. So yes, fire drills, very serious, done all the time, like every other month usually, or every 3 months, something like that. Know that. How's your tech support work going at the school? Have you already finished setting up the inventory list, or are you still at it? Only if you don't mind me asking. It's going well. I think we're making progress. That would be the morning of Las Vegas answers. No, sorry, the morning of vague answers. I shouldn't make jokes when you guys are learning English. So, Hafiz, is Amber Alert a thing there in Canada, Bob? I hear that term from Crime Podcast. I think the US used that correct. Yeah, we have Amber Alerts. An Amber Alert is when a child has been taken or kidnapped, or whatever word you want to use. Then an Amber Alert will go out and all of our phones will buzz with the information. You know, they're looking for a man 6 foot tall, wearing blue jeans and a white sweatshirt. There'll be a whole description. Last seen in this area. So yes, Amber Alert. Hello from Brazil. Hi, Oswaldo. Hi, Teacher Bob from Wanda. Are there in Canada specific laws related to chemical product security, safe use, etc.? Thanks a lot. So there are a lot of things under lock and key, and there are a lot of regulations for how they are transported. So if you are someone who sells dangerous chemicals, like chemicals used for agriculture or in a factory, you will have rules and regulations you have to follow about how those chemicals are stored and how those chemicals are transported. And everything would probably need to be meticulously logged. That means there needs to be like chemicals arrived, June 7, 2025, 1 jug purchased by so-and-so. Like you would have to keep a detailed record or log. Sylvan says there's a fire prevention week in Canada, normally in October. Yes, I think that's when we do our fire department fire drill. Brent says to Hafiz, yes, if a child goes missing in my town or nearby town, my cell phone will ping an Amber Alert. Thankfully, it has only happened once or twice. Yes. Know that. Could you explain the meaning of the expression in the bag and give some examples of its usage? Thanks a lot. In the bag means that it is a for sure thing. If you are watching a sports game, let's use football or what I call soccer for an example. If the score is 20-1 and there are 3 minutes left in the game, they have it in the bag. Like they're going to win. It is a sure thing. Let's get the official definition, meaning of in the bag. As good as secured, a sure thing. So the election is in the bag is their example, which would mean that the person who is trying to get elected is definitely going to win. Mode says, Brent School also has lockdown drills. He mentioned once, I guess that's not common in Canada. Schools, nope, they are. We have 3 different kinds of drills at our school, and that is definitely one of them. The education systems in Canada and in the US are very similar to each other, to the point that teachers from each country can usually easily get jobs in the other country. The systems work the same. Students are in school from age 5 to about age 18. If a student moves from one school system in Canada to a school system in the US, it's almost a direct transfer. Their history classes will be a little different, and a few other things, but it's fairly easy. So Canada and the US are very different, but very similar. That's the best answer I can give. So often we have like lockdown drills, we have fire drills, we do all of that. So hold and secure, we call it. So hold and secure means we lock our doors on the outside. There are a lot of different things we do. I wonder if Brent does hold and secure. So that's like not lockdown, but it simply means you lock the outside doors of your building so no one can get in. Half yes says American. I see. It's one of those utilities that you need and will be beneficial, but a utility you wish that you will never get. Yes, that's what Amber Alerts are. It's an easy win. It's in the bag. Yes, absolutely. Key Park says, I'm at homecoming in my college now. I got an alumni card on my phone to get into it. Oh yeah, very cool. An alumni is someone who went to a school and has graduated. Okay, sip of water. As I said previously in the chat, you are better watching baseball instead of playing it. Your collarbone will be so thankful. By the way, how is it? I think it's good. The weather is changing here though, and that was a kind of a weird experience for me. But I think things are good. I'll know more in about 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, let me turn off members only chat. Where is my, let's see here, customization subscribers. Did I click the right one? I think I did. Yes, there we go. And we will finish off this lesson. I was going to say something else. Can't remember what it was. That's okay. Let's finish the lesson. That's always fun. Access code. This is the code that you must memorize and punch in order to get into a building, or maybe into a locker, or into something that has a panel like this on it. I forget what this is called. I'm having yeah, maybe someone in the chat can help me. You punch onto a pin pad, sorry. So when I go to my place of work, there is a security system and I need to know my code in order to get in. Every person who works somewhere that has a code will have a different code so that they know who entered the building and disarmed the security system at what time. So an access code, usually a 4 or 5 or 6 digit code. They keep getting longer, I think, because that's more secure, that you punch in order to gain entry to a building. Brent says, we call that procedure a yellow lockdown. I lock the door and keep teaching. Lights stay on. We just stay in the classroom until the problem has been solved or resolved. Yeah, that's similar. We call it a hold and secure. You call it yellow lockdown. Good to know. Security desk. If you're at the mall, and this did happen to me, and you happen to find someone's driver's license laying on the ground, you would go and give it to the people at the security desk. Earlier in the lesson, I mentioned that I might just call this security. I might not even say desk. I might say, I found someone's driver's license on the ground when I was at the mall. I brought it to security, or I brought it to the security desk. So again, security desk would be a place, not just at a mall, but at any large event or venue. If you're at a stadium or a football stadium or something like that, there will be at some central location a security desk where there will be security officers who can help you. And then there might also be a restricted area. Restricted area, do not enter, authorized personnel only. If you do go to watch your favorite football team, there's an area of the stadium that you're not allowed to go in, but they are. You can't go in the locker rooms. That's a restricted area. Only the players and coaches and people who work at the stadium are allowed there. There are many restricted areas in many buildings. So when you go to the bank, you're not allowed to go into the basement and see the big safe where they keep all the money. That's a restricted area. So a restricted area is a place where employees and people who are allowed to go there are allowed to go there, but other people are not allowed to go there. A restricted area. It might be called a restricted zone as well, but a place where, yeah, behind the security desk, there's probably a restricted area. Like they probably have a few rooms and you're not allowed to go in there. And then there are things like this verb, to be pulled aside. So if you're going through security at the airport, they might pull you aside. They might take you to a small room because they might want to do some questioning. They might not pull you aside to a room. They might just say, could you come and stand here for a moment? And then you might go through questioning where they just ask you some questions. So again, at the airport or any other place where you need to go through security, they might say, you can just go. Like, okay, thank you, sir. You may go. Or they might ask you to just step aside. They might pull you aside to ask you a few questions. When we go to see a Blue Jays game, Jen often has a backpack. And so often they'll let me in, but they might pull Jen aside and want to look inside her backpack before she's allowed to enter. And then, yes, the general term would be for questioning. They just want to ask you some questions. So this guy, I think he's been pulled aside for some questioning. They just want to know what set off the metal detector, maybe, I'm not sure. And then just so you know, this is not an interrogation. When you're pulled aside for questioning, it simply means they want you to pause for a minute so they can ask you a few things. Interrogation is when you're arrested by the police and they put you in a room and then they try to figure out if you did the crime or not. And then two-factor authentication, or 2FA, is the short version. This is what everyone should be using for their bank accounts and other things they log into online. So what two-factor authentication means is you go to your banking website, you type in your username and password, and you hit enter. And then it says, thank you, please indicate on your phone or your watch that you are who you say you are. So there are two levels to getting into your bank account, your username and password, and then there's a second method of verification called two-factor, or the second verification. So two-factor authentication, or 2FA, just a way to be more secure when you are online, logging into email or banking or anything like that. If you do not use two-factor authentication, set it up. You'll be happy you did. It's awesome. Hey, let's do some questions. Let me look in the chat though. Mode, random knows, bag is the Canadian pronunciation for bag. Yeah, you know, some of those were like bag, I probably say it a little different, yes. Bag check, bag. Is there like a little rea sound in there? Mode, oh, TSA is what Americans call airport security, right? Do you have the same in Canada? So Transport Safety Authority or Transport Security Authority? I don't know the exact. Transportation Security Administration, okay. Yeah, I think we probably have a government, let's see, Canadian version of TSA. Canadian Air Transport Security Authority. So yes, we just put the word Canadian in front of it. It's called CATSA. That's our term. I didn't know that, but that's what we have. We just usually say security. That's the easiest way to do it. Mode, I don't think a lot of people know the full version of the acronym. Yeah, I didn't. Freddie, have you anything to declare? Common question. John Wedge, we use 2FA here in the company and I use it in my daily routine as well. It's very good to protect our social medias and everything. Yes. Freddie Wolf, yes, Bob, all our banks will use the double check to keep safe all the accounts. Yes. You know, 5 or 6 years ago, our government didn't use it. And then the government system got hacked. So I'm glad more and more people are using it. Okay, let me see if there are questions from the forum. From Edgar, talking about internet security, how do students act when they are facing cyberbullying in your school? It can end up with the authorities. There are a variety of ways for students to handle that. They can report it to a teacher, and this is for all schools in Canada and in the US. They can report it to a friend and ask the friend to tell a teacher. They can report it to a teacher. They can report it to the principal or superintendent. They can, if it's severe, they can report it directly to the police. We take cyberbullying very seriously and try to prevent it as much as possible. From Elena, hi Bob, thank you for your lesson. May I use x-ray machine in the hospital? When my child had a trauma, I used just the word x-ray. Does it sound correct? Yes. So I broke my collarbone. I needed an x-ray. I went for an x-ray. They gave me an x-ray. The results of the x-ray were that my bone was broken. So we don't often say machine. We only say machine, I think, when we're talking about the airport where you have to go through an x-ray machine. But at the hospital, we just call it, I had to go for an x-ray. I think we describe the process. We don't usually talk about the machine. I went to the x-ray department to get an x-ray, and the x-ray showed that the bone was broken. Good question, Elena. From Frisky, what's the meaning of providence? Native speakers usually use that spiritually, like under the providence of God, or you see in a different context. We use providence in the sense of positive, good outcomes. We might say luck a little bit, but providence kind of has this sense that there's a greater power controlling the fact that things went well for you. So, but yeah, generally, I would say more of a religious word than a common daily use. From Muaz. Hey, Bob, in Canada, where is your dream to live? If, let's say, Bob the Canadian was ridiculously wealthy. I am not. But let's say, here's a good phrase. Let's say I had money to burn. I would live on my farm, and I would probably have a small condo in Toronto because Jen and I do like going to the city. I don't think I would buy a cottage. I think I live on a nice enough property that a cottage would just be more of the same. So let's see. Edgar, hi again, Bob. I have a question. Since the family doesn't have police officers, how do families keep the order/peace? Parents. Parents make the rules, and parents make sure kids understand the rules and follow the rules. From a Pan, hey Bob, how are you doing? Could you please explain some formal words with their meaning we use in everyday conversation? So that's a pretty broad question. It's a little challenging to give examples on something like that, but I would say things like, yeah, no, I can't give a quick answer on that one. English is kind of strange because once we are familiar with coworkers, we often use a lot of informal language. We usually use formal language when talking to our boss, but once we get to know our boss, we'll even be very informal with our boss. So like when I see my boss, I might say something like, hey, did you have a good weekend? Which is a very informal question, right? Hey, did you have a good weekend? I'm asking about their personal life, and I'm using contractions, and I'm crunching my words together. So yeah, tricky to answer quickly in a live stream. So sorry about that. Hey, number one, there's a live stream tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will schedule it in just a moment. It'll be a Q&A live stream. You can ask me about anything. Number two, this lesson will come out in a few days. It will be a bit shorter. I will remove all of your questions, so it's just a pure lesson. So all 24 words, I think there's 24 words in terms. You can listen to that. You can watch it again, whatever you need to do. Number three, please consider becoming a member. Lots of bonuses and perks. If you're a member, there's a link below that says subscribe plus or join or somewhere around here. And then number four, thank you for hanging out and watching. I like teaching. I've been teaching for a very long time, both in a school and now almost 9 years on YouTube. I enjoy it. So thank you for coming and hanging out and learning some things. That's it. I'm going to click the outro button and I'm going to go to work, and I hope you have a good day. I do need to book. I need to get going pretty quick. So bye. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.